What's going on, everybody? This is Drew here. I want to welcome you all to a brand new episode of Phoenix Down. This is Phoenix Down episode 131. It's been a while. It seems like that's a growing trend with Phoenix Down, but that's okay. We're going to be playing through, as we said in our last episode, Expedition 33, particularly Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I still don't know why it's called Clair Obscur.
I don't either.
Yeah. So, anyway, we have Matt here.
Hello, everyone. I was going to say it's been a while as well, and it has been.
Yeah.
And then my immediate second thought was, wow, I feel like I might say that every episode now.
Yeah. I'm going to try to be a little bit more consistent. The truth be told, this is all my fault. And that's, I have a almost 2-year-old running around. I don't have much time to play video games. And when I do, it is small bite-sized video games called Balatro, where I play 3 rounds of it and then go to bed. But that's okay. I'm going to carve out some time to play Expedition 33.
At least that half of the game is pretty obvious.
Yeah. So I get that, yeah. And what... well, before we get into that, let's get into our history with it. Which is pretty short, but I do have something I do want to mention. This game came out in 2025, so it's a newish game. And when it first was announced, I think it was announced, I can't remember where it was announced, but it was announced, I heard the name, didn't really pay attention to it. And then close to release, there was a lot of people talking about this game, saying, "Oh man, I'm excited for Expedition 33." And I was like, "What the hell is this Expedition 33?" Is it? I remember it being announced, but I never knew anything about it. I didn't know what kind of a game it was. I didn't pay attention to it. Well, the game came out. It released day one on Game Pass, and so a lot of people ended up playing it because it was on Game Pass. And I noticed, I started getting suggested videos on YouTube and reels and stuff like that talking about this game. And that's when I finally realized what the game was. It was always a turn-based role-playing game. A mature turn-based role-playing game would be the best way to describe it. And I was like, okay, well, seems interesting, I guess. So I was like, all right, well, I don't really... I have it on my radar, was basically what it was. And then of course it won all these Game of the Year awards and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, well, I'm glad I'm playing this now.
Yeah.
And I remember when I started this game, I was actually in Jacksonville for my job. I was in a hotel room and I brought my Xbox with me and I started playing this, and the intro, I was like, okay. Yeah, this is something I definitely want to play. So that's kind of my history with it. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, pretty similar. I also remember kind of hearing about it and not paying too much attention until around release, and just the buzz it was getting was so positive that I'm like, all right, this is immediately on my radar for someday in the future. And then I was just surprised how long and how positive all the coverage was. And so, I was sure I was going to play it. But the thing that really tipped me over the edge was Mike Baker from the Zombie Frog days.
Zombie Frog days, man.
We had a couple of message exchanges, and he's like, oh, by the way, I finished that game. He's like, and I finish almost no games these days. And that one I played through, loved it, played all of it, finished it, and I was like, wow. Certainly it must be captivating, right? Not just the general community thinks it's good, but actually this guy who I know well, and we used to talk games a lot more than we do these days, but to also get that kind of a strong local recommendation really turned me on to it. So, when we talked about doing this for Phoenix Down, I was pretty excited, yeah.
Yeah. So where are you playing this?
I am playing the Steam version.
Okay.
On my ROG Ally.
Okay.
And I would say probably 50-50 between playing it in handheld mode versus docked.
Gotcha.
If only because it is for this piece of equipment, it's a fairly demanding game. And given the battery life of this thing, if I play it in handheld mode, it's only 20 or 30 minutes at a time. But I can play it docked with a controller, and then it's just like having a little console. So, I still appreciate the flexibility, even if for real modern games, it's not the type of handheld where you're going to play for 4 or 5 hours at a time.
Right.
But yeah, it works well, so I call it a win.
Well, there you go. Got you a alternate Switch.
Yeah, the old white Switch.
So, I'm playing the Game Pass version on the Xbox. Well, not Xbox One, Xbox Series X is where I'm playing it. And yeah, so like I said before, the intro to this game is pretty captivating, if you ask me. I was just like, whoa, this is nuts. To describe this world, man, so there is an event that takes place every year, where I'm assuming people die. If you try to describe this story to people, regular people, it would be, they would look at you like you're crazy. So, the people of this world, every year, there is this giant woman in a far distant location, which you can still see, but is very far away, wakes up and erases a number and puts a new number on a mountain. And it goes down 1 digit every year. If you are that age, you die.
Presumably,
and
right?
Presumably you die. You turn into red petals, red flower petals, and drift away, almost like Thanos snapping.
Yeah.
And what do they call it? The grammage?
Yeah,
is that what it's called?
Grammage, which is interesting too, just because there are also other assumptions, right? You get a lot of information in the beginning of this game, but it's not hyper explicit, right? I think they talk a little bit about, or they reference the initial event, and that was, I think they call it the fracture, which apparently this part of the world is just separated from the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think we know anything about it, though, right? We don't know if the rest of the world exists or if it was actually destroyed.
Yeah, we don't know.
And so, you're kind of making assumptions there. We're kind of making assumptions about what's actually happening, and this definitely seems like the kind of game where we will get a lot of these answers by the end. At least, people talk about the story being a real highlight and fantastic, so I'm assuming all these things get answered. But at the moment, it's all just interesting and mysterious.
Yes. And so, we play the beginning part as Gustav, who is, I guess, 32? Is that how it works?
I think so. Right?
Is that how it... Yeah.
Yeah, it's been going on for 67 years, right? So
it's many years. I don't know how many. There's multiple expeditions. So what it seems like. Sorry, I adjust my microphone here. It seems like they set out. They choose volunteers to send out on an expedition to try to stop the Paintress, which is this woman that is writing the number on the wall. And so far, they've never heard from another expedition. The expedition takes off into the wilderness or wild or whatever. They go by boat originally, and when they land, nobody knows what happens to them. But one of the big things that they push is when you do go out there, if you are on an expedition, you leave behind, make journal notes, you leave behind stuff, and they have a saying for those who come after. When you go out on an expedition, it's basically like a suicide mission. We like everybody pretty much says we're not going to come back.
Which is weird because it infuses the beginning of this game with such a somber tone.
Yes.
Right? Everyone, I mean, after you watch people disappear, that's, it's not done in a hyper cartoony way where, people are like laughing and joking like this is serious business in this world.
Yes. And so you have Gustav preparing for the next Grammage. He runs into his old friend, Flame. You can tell that they had a relationship at one point. And they're both, kind of talking. And you can still tell that there's feelings there a little bit. He also runs into Mael, which is his... What is their relationship? I still can't figure it out. It's not his sister, is it?
Yeah, in my mind it was like an adopted kid sister.
Right.
Not like blood related, I don't think, but he's got sort of the mentor / older brother vibe, definitely.
Right. And they go to this kind of like they have like a last hurrah. It seems like there's a festival and stuff like that. They try to make it a good send off, I guess, for people. And what was his ex-girlfriend's name? I can't remember. I'm losing my mind. I'm sorry. I did all this in October, and we're recording this in January, so I can't remember. But yeah, when the Grammage happens, she's there with him and she vanishes. She's taken. And it's a very hardcore, touching moment of like, oh God, I didn't, because you don't get that inkling that it's going to be her.
Like it's Sophie.
And, it's a crazy intro. It really is. It's very good.
Yeah, it's nice because they don't again explicitly tell you too much, but you see everything, right? You see people disappearing, you see the Paintress, you see sort of the split in the world, right? It kind of looks like the real world, but it's also kind of fantastical.
Mm-hmm.
Always kind of a good vibe in this. This has a bit of that destroyed look, right? And again, I assume this is from when this part of the world was ripped out of the rest of the world. You have like broken structures and, surrounded by this, whatever this fantastical world is that's not our normal world.
Right.
So again, for me, that's one of the big, like, background mysteries.
So, Gustav, along with multiple expeditioners, are now labeled as the expedition number 33. They are going off to see if they can stop the Paintress from painting another number. And I get the feeling that for a while there I was thinking, oh, so everybody who's on this expedition is 32. But I don't think they are. It seems like Gustav is, but it seems like some of the other party members are acting like, this wasn't their last year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which is interesting, right? Because maybe at 32 you can still field full expeditions. I don't know how many people live in this area.
Yeah.
But you have to imagine by the time you get down to, 25? You're going to start to have maybe some slim pickings. And so if whatever it is, if you can't do it soon, you're going to lose the ability to do it. And that's always another layer of dread, I would imagine, in this world.
Yeah. And that's what I was thinking. It was like, there's always this underlying dread of time is running out.
Yeah. Literally. Like the countdown we can see the countdown.
Yeah. So, I would say there was probably, they were just on one ship.
Yeah.
But, I would say there was probably maybe 20 expeditioners.
That's what I was going to say.
Something like that. And it starts off. They make it to the shore where they're supposed to be landing. As soon as they get there, they see this monster. But that's not the worst thing, because there's also a man there who looks to be in his 60s.
The white-haired man.
The white-haired man. And he's basically telling them, you should never have come here. And then everybody starts dying. Everybody in the expedition starts getting slaughtered. And Mael comes to, and I think she's younger. I think she's only like 22, something like that, 21.
Yeah.
And everybody gets separated. Gustav gets injured. And he sees that everybody's getting wiped out. I mean, they're just straight up getting murdered. This game is very bloody. And everybody is like, I think I texted you while I was playing this, and I was like, everybody is still like just covered in dirt and blood and grime. And so come to find out what happens is if you're injured in battle and you don't heal yourself, you look bloodied. But if you heal yourself back to full health, you're clean again. I didn't realize that until I started paying attention. But, and this is like right after the intro. Like you haven't really even done a battle yet.
Yeah, you're here setting off on the expedition, and it's basically over as soon as it starts.
Exactly. And so now we're definitely in, it's a lost cause, basically. So we take over as Gustav. We try to find shelter. And eventually we run into another party member. We run into Loon, who is kind of like your magic user. Everybody can use magic in this game. So this world is interesting because magic exists and they use it via what they call pictos. Some people just equip pictos. I don't know exactly what a picto is, but some people actually imprint them on their bodies like tattoos. Loon does this. That was one of the things that they mentioned was like, I think Gustav said, I don't know if I want to do that, Seems pretty permanent kind of thing.
Yeah.
But Gustav has something even more permanent. He doesn't have an arm, and he has a robotic arm that he has created that can conduct electricity. So everybody's a little different in this game. I should mention what this game kind of is. So this game is a turn-based role-playing game. And there is tons of things that you can do in this game. One of the things is it is basically like a active battle system where you take turns based on people's speed stat. So you can see who's up next for their turns and stuff like that. But it's active in the sense that everything requires a button press.
It's like Mario and Luigi on crack.
Exactly. It's like Mario and Luigi or Super Mario RPG. If you want to do more damage, possibly hit critical hits, you have to time button presses. On top of that, defense plays a major part in this. So, in order to cast spells or skills in this game, you can do a standard attack, which, just does regular attack damage plus whatever element you're using for your weapon. But your skills require action points. And there are multiple ways where you can gain action points. Certain pictos that you equip can gain you active action points. But the big thing that gains you extra action points is by parrying. So you can parry attacks against you, or you can also dodge them. Dodging has a more open wide window, easier to dodge, harder to parry. Dodging gets you no action points. Parrying does, and you also can do counterattacks if you parry. The thing is every attack from an enemy can be varied, but it is all timing based. It seems to me that there is visual cues that you can go by, but if you listen carefully, there seems to be an audio cue as well of when you can do it. And every enemy in the game can be parried. There's also one where they attack where you can jump over it. And if you do that in time, you can do like a special attack. And that plays into the battle system completely. One of the crazy things, and it's one of the things I commended the Trails series for, Trails of Cold Steel, we did that for Phoenix Down one time, is that boss fights. Most turn-based RPGs, if you try to poison a boss, it just says, nah, you can't do that. In Trails of Cold Steel and in this game, if you want to put status effects on enemies or on bosses, go for it. In fact, there is so much customization here, you could just stack like 400 burn on a boss and just watch it tick it down. So there's multiple strategies, multiple ways. There's full-on builds for characters. I looked them up. I haven't looked any spoilers or anything like that, but I was just like, I go to maxroll.gg, which is where I use for like builds for Diablo. And I noticed they had a section for Expedition 33, and I clicked on it. I was like, what the hell can they do here? Oh, there's just straight up, you want the perfect Gustav build? Bam, here it is. You want the perfect burn build for Loon? Go for it, here it is. And it's like showing you what pictos to equip, what to do in this scenario and stuff like that. So the amount of customization here is huge. But the thing is, you don't necessarily have to use it if you don't want to. That you can totally just grind if you want.
Yeah,
you can
I
grind
like that
in this
it gives
game
you
to
that
get
option,
stronger.
Sure.
Yeah, and so I feel like there's multiple ways to approach an encounter, whether it be a standard encounter or a boss encounter. And truth be told, in this game, a standard enemy can wipe your party if you're not careful. So, from what I understand, and this was a big one, when we started playing this game, there was an update to the game where they allowed you to retry that battle if you died. When this game first launched, you could not do that.
Yeah.
That would suck.
Yeah, because there was a couple points in this game where I was just like, wow, this is not a stroll. This is not a casual game. I'm like, I feel like I'm playing Dark Souls. Where, like, if I'm not on guard to parry every second, I will die immediately.
Yeah.
And it was those Reapers. When you get to the cliffs, the stone cliffs, there's the Reapers that have a couple attacks. It's funny because it's a really interesting system in how hard every enemy is to me the first time I play them. But then once you learn their patterns, like, even though those Reapers, I'm happy when I see them now because I know their patterns. They're easy to dodge. They're easy wins. You could use them for grinding, but the first couple times I felt them, like, that feels like a boss. I can't even do any damage. They're wiping, multi-hitting, 2 or 3 hits and my whole party's dead.
Yeah. This is a hardcore game.
And
I'm sure there's somebody out there saying, "No, you guys just suck at the game," and I will fully admit I suck at this game, but that's okay. Because I feel like while it's difficult, if you can pull it off, it's so rewarding.
Yeah, and I feel like there's the obvious incremental growth. Like, I'm getting better, my characters are getting stronger, I'm learning better synergies and combos, and like you said, there's so much you can do to structure battles differently, and the order of attacks matters. So all these different little things mean that even when I'm stuck, I don't feel like it's a brick wall. It's just something to overcome.
What's crazy to me is that every character in this game plays completely different.
I know. That's really cool.
It's nuts. Like you, kind of like in Monster Hunter. Like in Monster Hunter, whenever you, I'm going to main the hunting horn. Okay, cool. That's a game in and of itself. And then if you switch to longsword, you are learning a whole new game now, kind of thing. It's the same way with these characters. Gustav plays completely differently from Lune. Lune plays completely differently from Mael. And it's crazy because they all have their different attacks, but they also have different flavors would be the best way to describe it, So Lune is all about using elements, and so you can, if you use a fire attack, you now have a fire element, and there's attacks that if you have a fire element, it'll consume that fire element and make this next attack even stronger. Or there's tons of different options here. Mael is all about different stances. So she could have a defensive stance, and if you use this certain attack in a defensive stance, you switch over to the offensive stance, and different stances have different statistics. So it's, and then Gustav seems like the more stock character.
Yeah.
You're just trying to charge up your arm. The more you attack, or this certain skill generates more charge for your arm, and then you unleash your arm attack, which is like this big electric attack. It does tons of stun damage.
I never felt like I could get his damage up as high as the other characters.
Oh, I definitely could.
For me, Mael and CL.
Yes, CL.
Those two for me were the heaviest hitters.
I have not used CL that much. Which we'll get into, but essentially, the characters play differently. So when it's their turn, it's almost like, I've got to remember all these different things for this one character, and that's just for one turn.
I'm actually a little bit nervous because I haven't played this game in about 2 months. So yeah. I'm imagining that when I get back into it, there's going to be a bit of a learning curve again, just to remember what I was doing.
Right, and that's what happened to me. I finished Act 1 last week, but it had been a month and a half since I played it, and I was just like, I don't even remember where I'm at. I had to relearn timing for parries and dodges and just regular attacks and stuff. I was like, oh boy. I don't need to take breaks from this game. But yeah.
Just going back to the beginning, when after sort of the massacre at the beach, I thought it was interesting that you even get a couple more pretty dark scenes there, right? You get Gustav kind of stumbling around by himself. And then there's the scene where he goes into a cave and he just finds piles of bodies and bones.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, this, again, kind of reinforcing that it's not they're not going to kind of sugarcoat it or soften it. Like, this is real bad shit's happened here.
Yeah, you're running into other expeditions.
And then he's sitting there basically mentally giving up and he's about to kill himself.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh wow,
And that's when he runs into
can't get a lot darker at the moment.
Yep. Loon's like, hey, don't leave me alone out here. So they team up, see if they can possibly find anybody else that may have survived. And it's kind of a two-party team for a little while there. And this is where you start getting into the combat and learning the ins and outs of it and stuff like that. Eventually you make it out of that area. And the thing I have to mention is the vistas in this game are beautiful. It's crazy how good this game looks.
Yeah. And it's a lot of pieces. It's like it's the art direction. It's, the scale and scope of the world. It's the kind of twisted nature. Again, it's, some real elements mixed in with fantastical elements.
Yeah. It's very like 1900s, early 1900s Europe mixed with fantasy stuff. And like apocalyptic tones to it. And then the one thing that everybody talks about, the soundtrack to this game is phenomenal.
Even like the menu music is good.
Yes. It's so good. So, and here's the thing is like, I can't remember the orders of stuff. And I can't remember the names. I do remember the Flying Waters, which was the next area you go into. I think at this point we had already got Mael, or no?
I thought we got her either in this, like maybe the next section, because it's when you finally get
forest.
Yeah, the Ancient Sanctuary. It's wherever you finally get to see the manor. Right?
That's right. We run into her at the manor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, there's this mysterious door that you walk into, and when you open it, you run into like this gigantic like manor mansion that's completely empty. No idea where you are or anything. And Mael is there, and she's with this curator, which looks like a floating skeleton thing.
Faceless skeleton, yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, he's been helping me upgrade my weapons and stuff. And he actually comes with you. He's at your camp, and you can use him to upgrade your weapons. And all the doors are locked, so you can't go anywhere else except leave. But you run into and this guy that Mael has been talking to, this little very French character. Everything in this game is very French, but he even speaks with a French accent. It's a gestural. That's what they call them. Loon is fascinated by them. She'd always heard stories about them, but never actually saw one.
Yeah, they were part of the world's mythology, I think, and then again somehow were made real.
Yeah, and they're made out of wood. Some of them are very small. Some of them are gigantic. And they're like, "Hey, could you take us to see other? Are there any other expeditioners you could help us find?" And he's like, "Yeah, come to my village. We'll go talk to the village leader. Leave there, go to the gestural village." On the way to the gestural village, though, we get attacked by a bunch of them because they want to test out their new robot suits or whatever. And these guys hit hard too.
Yeah.
But eventually making it to the village, they have an arena. And they're like, hey, if you want to prove yourself, go fight in the arena kind of thing.
What RPG would be complete without an arena to prove yourself?
Of course. And so we go to the arena, and we beat up some of the gestrals. And then they're like, oh, well, you got to beat our champion. And it happens to be another expeditioner. which is Cecil. Is that how we pronounce it?
CL?
CL?
I think so.
CL, Cecil. They all have funny names.
Yeah.
And at this point I was thinking, how long have they been here? Like, she has made it to this village on her own and has now become the champion of this village.
Because she was from our
arena.
expedition, right?
Yes, as far as I know, she was.
So, yeah. So she couldn't have been there more than a few days, I would imagine.
I was like, how long have we been here? That was my first question. I was like, because it just seems like everything happened so fast. But we asked the Gestrels, hey, we need to get it to the paintress, and they're like, well, you're going to have to cross the sea, basically, and there's only one guy that can help you cross the sea. You're going to have to go find him in the Stone Wave Cliffs. Okay. So we're going multiple places. And what surprised me was whenever we first left our first big area, we go into a world map. I was like, whoa, okay, wow, this is straight up like, Final Fantasy kind of thing.
Yeah.
We got a world map where we're running around.
With secrets and stuff on it, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah. There's tons of stuff there. There's shortcuts that you can, unlock. Like, it's intricate. There was multiple times where I was playing this. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know this was in this game. I know nothing of this game. I still don't know what happens in the story. I've never been spoiled or anything like that.
Me either.
So I'm always pleasantly surprised when I see something new. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I thought, to me, like when we first went to the flying waters and everything was like basically you're underwater, I was like, wow, this is fucking cool, dude. I was like, this is a cool area. And then occasion, like you can always go back to camp while you're on the world map and kind of rest or level up and stuff like that. Distribute stat points.
Yeah, I had to play this game in very bite-sized pieces, right? Again, kind of nodding to some of the difficulties. I feel like I was doing the same thing I would do in Dark Souls or whatever, which is, I found my camp. All right, I can only go out and do a fight, and then I'm going to come back and heal or save. And then I'm going to go out and I'm going to try and do 2 fights, and then I'm going to come back. And so I kept doing a lot of these little, like, exploratory runs and then coming back because I felt like it was pretty easy to get one battle too far and then get killed.
Yeah. The thing that I feel like I need to be a little bit more liberal with is using my healing potions.
Yeah, because they get refilled for free.
Yeah, they get refilled for free. You get 3 of them in between checkpoints. And well, now I've got 4. So I can technically full heal my entire party 4 times before making it to another checkpoint. And checkpoints are not bad, I would say. You may end up doing 5 fights before you get to the next checkpoint. But I feel like I'm always, and that's just the RPG player in me. I'm going to save all my healing potions for whenever I really need them. Yeah, and then I get to a fight that the boss fight's a one-hit kill anyway. So I'm like, okay, well, why did I save all these healing stuff for? That's just me. I need to get out of that and just be a little bit more liberal with the healing potions. I feel like I could make more progress that way if I did that instead of just running back and forth. Because the other issue is, much like a Souls game, if you go back to your checkpoint and heal and save the game, oh, guess what? All the enemies respawn. So, it allows for grinding, which is good. I did a couple of sessions of grinding in that first area. Kind of like where you're on cliffs, but there's also fields and stuff like that. Can't remember what that might have been the ancient place.
Yeah, maybe ancient sanctuary.
Ancient sanctuary. Yeah, I did grind there a little bit. And I'm still waiting on finding a new place to grind because one of the other things, and it does this, and this is one of the things I don't like. Only active party members gain experience. I say that, but I think I may take it back. I don't use we have 4 party members. You can only have 3 in your active party. I'm sure they gain a little bit of experience, but they don't gain as much as if you're in your active party.
Yeah.
And God forbid if somebody dies in combat and you still win the battle, they only get a small amount of XP.
Yeah.
And I was like, that stings.
Yeah, it ended up being okay for me because at some point I just decided that Gustav just wasn't doing enough damage anyway. So I subbed him out and said I don't care. He doesn't need a lot because he's not... I'm not going to try and compensate for him. I'm just going to focus on the other 3. Which maybe is not the best strategy.
Well, you say that, but I mean... I don't think it's going to be much of a problem. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So we go into the Stone Wave Cliffs. So I made it. I remember I made it to the Stone Wave Cliffs, and that's where I stopped, and then didn't come back for a month. And then that's where the Reapers are, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is hard." Yeah. And so, but yeah, I finally made it through that. That was well. We got to before we go to the Stone Wave Cliffs, we got to go talk to the guy. What is the guy's name? The big Skier. Yeah, we had to find a particular rock that he wants. And that's in the Stone Wave Cliffs. Once he gets that rock, he said he will be fully energized and he will take us across the sea. Okay, cool. And this dude is apparently strong as crap because he can just take down giant monsters on his own, but he can't help us out. And I'm just like, why are you not helping us in battle?
Must have really strong arms. He just flaps his arms and he can fly.
And fly, yeah. So, and I remember there was a scene with him. I can't remember who it was. It was mentioned that they were afraid of water. You remember that?
Vaguely,
and it was almost like, and it was almost like he knew the character. Was it CL?
Maybe.
I can't remember. Like she was afraid of water, and he knew that, and I found out, I was like, that's weird. Like, how did they know each other? How did he know that? But she also seemed kind of surprised of like, how did you know that kind of thing? And so I kind of put a mental note in my head. That may mean nothing. It's probably just a red herring.
Yeah, he might just be a little bit psychic.
Maybe he is. I don't know. There's all sorts of crazy things that happen in this, and in between this, we're getting like when we're in camp. Mael is having some kind of psychic connection with the white-haired man and this other woman who is like wrapped up in like bandages and stuff. She looks weird.
Yeah. And at one point they tell her, this is all your fault.
Yeah, this is all your fault. Like all of this is your fault. And she's seeing this happen, but nobody else is, and everybody's kind of freaking out about it. They don't know what it means. It's almost like a dream, but it's not. It's actually happening. But yeah, now we make it to the Stone Wave Cliffs, and this is where we can start talking about this. So, yeah, this is a long section.
This is where I did most of my grinding too, because this is where I got to the point where I'm like, oh wow, these Reapers are just killing me, and I need to get stronger, but also start to learn the battle system, because there are so many systems in this game, and I spent probably the first 6 or 7 hours just not paying attention. The first half of this whole game so far of what I've played, I just wasn't really paying attention. I didn't really understand the combat.
You'd mentioned that in text, and I was curious of what you meant by that exactly.
I mean, I wasn't really paying attention on how you would string things together. Like, I didn't know how to get Lumina at all, so I hadn't equipped anything. In the, I didn't know that how you would equip Pictos. I didn't know anything about upgrading weapons. I didn't know anything about equipping the Lumina. I was mostly just either doing attacks where you aim at weak spots and shoot, or, randomly picking the abilities that I had and using them as the attacks. And not really paying attention to how each character is different, plays different, and how to really optimize them. And it was only about halfway through when I figured out the Pictos and the Lumina that I really put it all together and really understood the battles, and I could survive the battles long enough to strategize and and put things in the right order, and all of a sudden the game got so much more fun.
Yeah. And I haven't really delved into that, because Pictos, you can equip a Picto to
up to
character.
3, right?
Yes, up to 3. And then after you win so many battles while that Picto is equipped, that character can now have that Picto equipped without having the Picto equipped. So they can have that ability. Right? Any character. Yeah. So think of it, if you remember Blue Dragon was a lot like that, where you could equip something to somebody, and once you earned enough experience points for it, you can then remove that and then still have that skill on.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the Pictos, if you have that Picto equipped, there's other passive abilities, passive stats that come with it that you will lose when you unequip it.
Yep.
So there's a whole bunch of strategy there, and then you can upgrade your characters to allow them to have a certain amount of points, because certain skills will require 4 points to have equipped, without having the Picto equipped. And so you get these consumable items that will increase that maximum amount of points, so you can have more abilities equipped at the same time. And so there's tons of customization, and I haven't delved that deep into it. In fact, I have not upgraded the points for any of my characters yet.
Really?
Because I'm afraid. I'm afraid of what if I give this character too many, and then I'm screwing somebody else over, kind of thing. Yeah. So I need to start doing that. I feel like there is a consumable item that will allow you to basically
respec,
blank slate, respec. And I have multiple of those. I just need to bite the bullet and do it.
Such a turning point. I can't think of a game recently where everything just clicked in such a way the game just got a lot better, because not only was I not taking advantage of these things, but I was slightly frustrating that there were so many things that I was reading about that I didn't know how to use. And I'm like, well, I know I'm just missing out on a big part of the game, not knowing how to use a Lumina. And then even when I finally would read it, I'm like, I don't really understand, where do I actually go in the game to do it? Because something, some things you do in menus, and some things you have to do in your campfire, and with certain people in game. And I was just like, man, the game and the combat got really fun, but I'm like, it is just a little bit confusingly structured, and some of the stuff is just literally not explained, or I just missed it. Or I'm too dense to absorb it.
No, so they give you these tutorials once and they don't show them again. I think there is kind of a codex where you can go back and read it. I haven't explored that. Maybe I need to. I feel like I understand the majority of the systems in this game. I just haven't been utilizing them. I've upgraded my weapons a few times. I've went into the skill tree and assigned new skills to my characters. And I've kind of learned, if I do this attack, then it's going to buff this next attack. And I've got those kind of combos down, but I need to fully embrace, give my character skill points so that they can equip better skills and more skills.
Yeah, that's what I want to do next, because now I think I'm in a similar boat where I think I understand the systems, but I haven't necessarily gelled getting the right Luminas to help the right combination of skills And those combos obviously get more varied as you unlock more skills. So I feel like I've done a lot of like, all right, I do A, then I do B, but not a lot of like longer term planning and for, how to really maximize damage in a longer battle. It's more just like, oh, A leads to B, which is better than if I hadn't done A. Great. And then I'll just keep cycling that. So there's a lot of like building that I need to do. Which is cool because again, with the characters all different, like like you said, you're really learning totally different, not just different combos, but totally different types of combos.
Yeah.
Like I really like CL. I think she's the one that does the sun and the moon abilities. And you're like building up the foretells and you're using cards and it maybe not the most complicated out of all of them. I think Lune's is the one I've probably grasped the least. Just because I think I need to unlock a few more skills where I have an obvious sequence. Like do A gives me the right stains to do B, which gives me the right stains to do C. I think that I'm imagining she's going to become more powerful when I can string longer chains together.
Yeah.
And CL so far is a bit more simple as well, but I love the fact that all the building blocks are there, that as more things unlock, the game naturally becomes a little bit more interesting and complicated.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that was such a turning point for me that I really embraced the game a lot more once I really started to understand the combat, which I just had ignored. Basically, the initial combat, the simple actions were simple enough that I was getting through just trying to understand the rest of it, like the story and the world and the characters and the interactions and all of that, the exploration. I wasn't as focused on the combat until I needed to be, and then it clicked and it was awesome.
There you go. Yeah, I need to dive deeper into that, which I will. So, but yeah, making it to Stonewave Cliffs, it's a long section, but making it there, we find the rock. We have a boss fight. It's like the Lantern Keeper, or Lantern something. Which I thought, I didn't die at this boss fight. I got close, but I didn't die, which felt great. And then now, of course, there's a second phase to it.
Yeah, I got wiped in the second phase a bunch.
Well, so the second phase, it's these, especially the boss fights. They're very scripted, and I say that because there's tricks, it seems like, to all the boss fights, and this one is obviously the lanterns. So one of the things we didn't mention is like when it's your turn, you can free aim with your gun and you can shoot the enemy. It takes up an action point, but you could possibly hit like a critical on like the head. Sometimes the head is a weak spot. But with this boss, they would light lanterns, and what you could do is, it does a massive attack with its lanterns lit. If you shoot out the lanterns, it does sequences when it lights them back up. So if you shoot them in the right order, it stuns them. So I was like, okay, well, cool. That it's nice to know that there are tricks to these boss fights. And so, but we beat that boss and we get separated. So, I think it's Gustav and Mael still on the cliff, and they're having a little bit of a moment, but Mael sees the white-haired man. The white-haired man, Gustav's got his back turned to him, and he stabs him, kills him.
Right through the chest. Yeah.
Right through the chest. And he falls over. Or no, he doesn't fall over. He's standing there. He's not dead yet. But then he comes up to him with a sword and straight up just kills him. His arm falls off and everything. And the white-haired man's mysteriously talking to Mael, saying, you're ruining everything. Why are you here? All this other stuff. And this other guy shows up, a younger guy, and he stops him and says, "Nope, we're not doing this. I'm going with them," essentially. And they know each other. They leave Gustav there. He's dead, and I'm assuming he's dead. I mean, he got stabbed multiple times, so unless this is a Yakuza game, I don't know.
They also make a pretty big deal about him being dead, so
yeah,
that would be kind of a rug pull for him not to be dead.
Yeah, I don't know, but this new guy, he comes to camp and he asks them, he's like, "Can I join you?" And they're like, "Well, I don't even know how we can trust you." And he's like, "Well, I used to be an expeditioner." And he's like, "Yeah, what expedition were you on?" And he's like, "I was Expedition 0. The first one." And they're like, "Well, how are you looking so young?
Yeah, you should
if
be like
you're
100.
80-something?
Yeah.
And he's like, "This world is different for different people." He didn't really go into much detail. He basically said, the Grammage doesn't affect certain people, and it also means I don't age.
Well, I think nobody on that expedition aged, right?
I don't know. The white-haired man obviously grew old.
Yeah.
He just didn't die.
Unless he was old at the time.
Yeah, unless he was old at the time. We don't know. Like, that's the thing, is nothing's really explained. The only thing he did say was, "I'm going to help you stop the paintress." And they said, "Well, if you stop the paintress, does that mean your youth will go away?" He's like, "If it does, then so be it. I'm done living in this world."
Which is sort of the explanation for the white-haired man, which I thought was an awesome way to end Act 1, because it comes full circle from when they landed on the beach and he kills everybody.
Yeah, like, you guys are here and you're going to ruin everything.
Yeah, because he's not aging anymore, and he was the leader of Expedition 0 and basically said, "I don't want to give this up. I'm immortal now."
Yep. And I think that sounds about right. And he says his name is Verso. So, and that's where the first act ends. So, it's pretty crazy. I didn't expect Gustav to die.
Yeah, and I
thought
didn't
that was
expect
to be my main guy.
Yeah, me too. I thought he was your go-to, your standard primary character essentially for the rest of the game, but definitely not.
No. No. He looks like Batman, but he is voiced by Daredevil.
Oh yeah, Charlie Cox.
That's what I always said. Yeah, he's voiced by Charlie Cox, but he looks exactly like Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw that and I was like, whoa! I didn't know that was going to happen, and I was like, okay, well, now I need to know what's going to happen now. This has been like twists and turns nonstop.
Yeah.
A little bit of a detour in the Gestural Village. I got lost in the Gestural Village for a little while there, and I was like, this is pissing me off. And that's just my own incompetence. But
yeah, especially because most of the other areas are pretty linear. That one's not.
Yeah. And they say, if you follow light, like there's lanterns and stuff like that kind of leads you to where you need to go. So it gives me a good idea of like, well, if I go where the not lanterns are, maybe I will find a secret or find something, and sometimes you do. Sometimes you just run into an enemy and I'm like, oh, good.
Yeah.
Here's a potential session ending enemy.
I think it was in that village where I did end up like climbing some scaffolding, and I ended up finding essentially some chests or whatever, and so I did find some nice treasure. but also at least in one of the sections I found a mime. Did you?
Yes, I have fought 2 mimes.
Have you beaten a mime?
Yes,
Oh.
I beat both of them.
I got destroyed, and then I got destroyed twice and said, I'm out of here. This is
That's where Gustav comes in key. Because his overcharge, when he fully charges his arm to 10, that does tons of stun damage, and that's the way you beat them. You have to stun and break them, and then you do damage to them.
Yeah, I was going to mention break is another thing I haven't even done anything with. Like, we've talked about all the systems, and you've got weapons, and you've got your magic, and you've got your luminas and your pictos. But I also like that there's the other in-battle things, like applying burn, and then burn matters to some other abilities. Or marked.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You can do some massive damage if you mark an enemy and then use a mark-specific spell. And all of that I got pretty comfortable with, and, there was how I was basically structuring most of my battles. But I just didn't do anything with break yet. I didn't even understand, I didn't even know about break, really. I wasn't paying attention to it.
Yeah, so every enemy has like a stagger meter, and there's certain abilities that can increase that stagger meter, and if you fill it up, it breaks them. Any kind of barriers they had or something like that will break, and it also stuns them for a turn, so they don't get a turn. Other games have done it before. I know Final Fantasy 13 did it that way. It's been done before. And truth be told, like, I don't have that many skills that break or stun a lot.
Yeah.
I just lost the character that did have that, so I don't know what I'm going to do now. But yeah, and then there's also the enemies where it's almost like a golden slime from Dragon Quest. They run away after a certain amount of turns, but they drop like great loot.
Yeah.
I've beat 2 of those. And there's like a little puzzle to get them to where you can actually fight them because they run away from you in the kind of like overworld,
yeah,
or the level. So there's tons in this game, tons. And I'm excited to jump back into it.
Yeah, I do feel like I'm always discovering something every time I play, basically.
Yes. I need to jump back into it and get serious about it, which is what I plan on doing. Balatro is going to go to the back burner for a little while. But let me check. I can't remember if I received an email in the past 3 months, but I'm going to check anyway. Let's see here.
Definitely a few people have played this game. I wonder what the sales cycle looks like on this game with all the buzz and the awards. It must have popped
they
again.
They did numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did numbers. Let's see here. Oh yeah. So I did get one from Jeremy. It just said you're back. This was in September when I received this email.
We're back.
Yeah, we're back.
Now we're back again.
Hey guys, was great to see the Phoenix Down icon pop up on my feed. Great to hear both of you again. I'm really excited to see what you think of Clair Obscur Expedition 33. It's the first game I bought off the hype in a long time. I hope you have been able to steer clear of spoilers. It's a heck of a ride. I'll definitely be shooting some questions. It was after the first episode. See you then, Jeremy. Well, Jeremy, get ready, because we're on it now. Looks like there was another one here. Nope, that's it. I did get one from Dustin. He was answering the question of what we thought a premier RPG developer would be, and he said that From Software or Atlas with the Persona, if you don't count Souls games as RPGs. Yeah, that was Nerd we were talking about, like, now that Dragon Age is pretty much dead.
Yeah.
And we were thinking, you might as well say BioWare's pretty much dead. What's the premier RPG maker?
And does anyone fill that void?
Yeah. So, anyway. Thank you for those emails from 4 months ago. My bad on not reading them as soon as I could. But we are back. I plan on sticking to this game and not taking my time with it. If you would like to send an email to us talking about Clair Obscur, please feel free. It's drew@ztgd.com. I don't use social media anymore, really. In fact, for almost a year there, I lost the ability to even log into the Phoenix Down account on Twitter or on X. I just don't use it anymore. So I guess the best way to get in contact with us is through the email.
And I assume we will have a lot to discuss on the next episode because...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's a meaty story here, it feels.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so far I'm enjoying the crap out of this game. It is definitely challenging. There are times where I'm just like, I just want to get through this fight, kind of thing. Yeah. But the story and the world around it is fascinating to me. So,
and the uniqueness,
excited to jump
the
more
style
into
of it is cool to see.
Yeah, the closest thing I can think of to the style of this game, as far as art style goes, would be Greedfall.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm really excited to get into it. But that's going to be it for us. I appreciate everybody listening. Surprise if you thought Phoenix Down was dead. We're not dead. We rise back up.
And welcome to 2026.
2026, we're going to try and be a little bit more consistent. Work on some Clair Obscur, and we'll get this thing knocked out. But that's going to be it for us. Until next time, I am Drew.
And I'm Matt.
And we're out of here. You guys have a great one, and we'll see you in the next episode, continuing Clair Obscur Expedition 33.